When the mass awakening happened 9 months ago, nobody realized it resulted from the meteorite. By the time we found out, our cities were choked with the hungry dead. They revived so quickly. At the time, I was a trainee with the Toxic Guard. It was our job to sanitize the problem. Removing the space rock was easy. My squad located and disposed of every last fragment. It was an operation worthy of medals, but none of us cared about that. The walking nightmares that stalked our towns quickly consumed professional ambition and a host of pedestrians. The zombies proved to be a formidable task.
Subject is homicidal and feels no pain. Vital signs are non-existent.
We set up base camps outside the major cities. We maintained a perimeter and blew up anything that staggered in our general direction. The overseas deployment stretched our domestic forces terribly thin. We had to rely on massive airstrikes toward the end. As the undead hordes multiplied and our ammunition dwindled, the order came down: retreat. Like our civilian charges, we became nomads. I followed the birds when they migrated south. Some said the flocks were doing what came naturally, but I knew it was more. It was like they knew something humans didn't, and only the wise, with a keen eye, would find they were right. Along the way, I heard a multitude of stories from those I encountered. These are some of their tales.
Jim Briscoe with KHWN Radio. Scattered reports are coming in throughout the wood streets in Riverside of wandering mobs of madmen attacking civilians on the streets. We have no explanations of the attacks, and authorities are overwhelmed. Some citizens are reporting that the mobs are engaging in cannibalistic behavior on their victims, some of whom seem to be later joining the attackers. Police and government officials are strongly urging all citizens to either stay locked inside or to quickly travel to one of the local evacuation centers. Fairmont Park, what was the other? White Park, and there was a third? Central Middle School have been locked down by the National Guard. Do not make contact with the victims of the mob. Do not touch them. Do not try to touch them because they will attack you. They will eat you. They will turn you into a zombie. This is Jim Briscoe with Break News. Get down! Zombies are in the studio.
This station is no longer broadcasting. This station is no longer broadcasting. This station is no longer broadcasting. Officers are on the scene. Requesting backup.
Get down to the ground! We've got the building surrounded!
Rescue return to Central. Transport is on the way.
Hold your fire!
I'm here with George Herning, Maya St. Croix, and Dennis Flaherty, the trio from this previous and rather notorious video. They've agreed to this interview from the safety of a secret location. Their story concerns the Martinville Research Facility, a classified government compound. In November 2010, by chance or design, a pathogen got out. The military moved quickly to contain the outbreak. As local radio covered the story, our trio had the foresight to capture events on their own. George, let's begin with you. Describe to me the details of this bunker infiltration.
It was right after lunch when the airstrike began. We were leaving the commissary when the first explosion hit. We made it to the bunker with 2 minutes to spare. After that, they decimated the North Campus.
Along the way, Maya twisted her ankle. We had to carry her down to the bunker. Travis joined us about 5 minutes later. He was already infected when he arrived. The fever escalated as he lost consciousness.
Now, when you heard this broadcast, you must have wondered just how widespread the infection was.
It was everywhere. That kind of firepower, they don't limit to a modest area. After the strike, they brought in a special group, the Toxic Guard. They set up checkpoints. They posted snipers on the rooftops. Everything was under lockdown. Later on, we spotted military vehicles arriving by rail. Then we heard some shooting. The bodies had revived. Just a few at first. Whatever the airstrike had missed suddenly got up and started going after them.
You three were captive. The military calls it a medical evaluation, but you were clearly captive during a 48-hour period following the strike. What were they looking for, Dennis?
Signs of infection. They were disappointed. We turned out to have a natural immunity. The running joke was the cafeteria food auto-inoculated the staff. I later found out other researchers were immune.
So Travis expired from his bite wound. This proves the pathogen was only spread through fluid.
Yes, a sample of which I smuggled out of the bunker. I delivered it to the CDC once the Toxic Guard released us.
Okay, Dennis, time to fess up. How did you get the sample out of there?
When Travis got shot, the blood spatter landed near me. When the soldier turned away, I scooped up a sample and locked it inside of this. It's a secret messaging tube. I swallowed it. 3 days later, I retrieved it. At that point, we had already been released.
What Dennis did turned everything around. That was evidence which they simply couldn't refute. The CDC went crazy with that sample.
I'm really sorry about Travis. Most folks can't imagine that happening right in front of them.
He was a really good guy and a talented scientist. He was among the first to study the meteorite. I can remember the first time he set eyes on it. What that f***ing soldier did was criminal.
After its retrieval, the video went viral. The ripples you made have found their way into the highest echelons. When the investigative branch of Congress takes over, the GAO, you know you've made an impression. And now their investigation into the Martinville matter proceeds. Do we know what became of that soldier who shot Travis?
He died from the infection. Apparently, some of that blood spatter got onto his skin.
Talk about poetic justice. How exactly did that happen?
Remember, my leg was all messed up. When he helped me to my feet, he offered his hand. That's when I put it there.
You're putting both of us at risk meeting like this.
Dennis Flaherty said you could help. How do we stop this thing?
This tracking device is programmed with coordinates. That's where the final chunk of meteorite is buried.
You want to tell me how you know this?
I was in league with a partner, Carl Bracken. We stole the rock from the crater. Pending a black market sale, we locked it inside a biocontainer. We buried it in the mountains for safekeeping. When Carl tried to double-cross me, his deceit made me realize just how low I had sunk.
Forget the act of contrition. What about an antidote?
What antidote? The plague will burn itself out eventually. But it's more critical to destroy that remaining piece. If it reaches the black market, a rogue nation could reinfect us within days. Now that you're privy, Looks like we're partners.